What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of LaLiga Insiders. Today, a very special day, transfer deadline, and maybe some panic buys. Maybe we finally got some answers that we were looking for. Gemma, Rodrigo, Faez, Cristina Alexander with you guys. Let's check out the menu of the day before we really dive in deep to the nitty-gritty. Barcelona travels to Sevilla. An interesting matchup, too, with Real Madrid at the Bernabeu with a clash of leaders. And what's new with our insiders? Of course, we were already saying the transfer news and a little bit of extra time, which means a little bit of extra fun, as we always like to have here on La Liga. But let's start off with our insider information. Gemma, with Football Club Barcelona, it's been a very interesting summer, and finally, at least we can see maybe more movements from the Camp Nou with Joan Laporta, who's been very busy and checking to see if he has a little bit of extra change in his pocket himself. But what were the last minute movements that we saw on this transfer deadline day for Barcelona?
Hola, Cristina, Rodri. Well, now we can, I think, officially say that Barcelona has had the best transfer market in Europe, and in the club, in the board of members, they are very satisfied with what they accomplished. The last movement was the registering of Héctor Bellerín. This was the last piece Xavi was asking for, a natural fullback in the right. And this way, this player, more than a decade later, comes back to Barcelona. This is something is not that usual. Barcelona tries not to sign former players that they created in La Masia, but they've done this exception because the other options they were trying to do. Cesar Azpilicueta, we know didn't go through. Juan Foyth was too expensive and he was injured. So Héctor Bellerín was eventually the player they decided to sign until 2023. It's not the only one. They will be signing Marcos Alonso, but because of a bureaucratic problem, he's still not a Barcelona player. It won't be a problem because he's no longer a Chelsea player, so he will be joining Barcelona as a free agent, and we will be seeing that officiality in the next few hours. There was no bomb at the very end of this transfer market. There were some rumors that it's been so exciting, the transfer market in Barcelona, that some of them said that might be a bomb, could be Bernardo Silva, could be a secret player. Eventually, it didn't happen, but Cristina can explain you that it's been a frenetic few last hours in the offices in the Sport City Joan Gamper. There was no Joan Laporta there. It was until 1 a.m. approx that Mateu Alemany, Jordi Cruyff, and the delegate Carles Naval were there reunited. Once they finished the register of Héctor Bellerín, it was just 1 minute before the deadline at 12 at night. So they have that piece, the full right back. They have also a reinforcement in the left, and we will be talking about that left fullback because might have some problems.
Wow, interesting. And as journalists, we can relate. We know how to work well under pressure, and clearly Barcelona has done that. But with the bomb that a lot of these fans are expecting, guys, you already got Robert Lewandowski. Relax a little bit, too, with all these movements that Barcelona has had. But it's certainly interesting. And this news, too, with Marcos Alonso, very intriguing to see what Xavi can now do with all of these pieces in this big puzzle at the Camp Nou. Also, a little bit of movements, or a lot of movements, of course, that we have to talk to Rodrigo about with Mariano's situation. Rodri?
Yes, Chris. By the way, every time I listen to Gemma's information, I say to myself, what a calm deadline Real Madrid has had today. This is something amazing. I mean, we have to say that Real Madrid did their homework back in June when they signed Tchouaméni and Rudiger, and they didn't need anything else apart from a replacement for Benzema. And that replacement is Mariano. Everyone at Real Madrid were like, what will happen to Mariano? And we've been reporting some cases on Mariano. But finally, we have to say something important. First of all, Mariano is going to stay at Real Madrid. And secondly, there was a little chance for Mariano to leave Real Madrid early this deadline day morning. It was when Villarreal called Real Madrid and asked for Mariano just in case Samu Chukwueze had left Villarreal to Everton, to the Premier League. But finally, it didn't happen. Anyway, Villarreal called Real Madrid to say, okay, how much can Mariano cost to me in case Samu Chukwueze leaves for Everton? And Real Madrid say, this is free for you. Doesn't really matter. As long as you pay the salary of Mariano, this is for you. Remember that Mariano earns around 5 million euro net per year. But finally, Samu Chukwueze stays at Villarreal, so Mariano is going to stay in Real Madrid.
Wow, yeah, it's interesting. Maybe some Madrid fans will like it, some won't. But like you said, it looks very calm in comparison to everything that Barcelona has done. And of course, there was no news, but it was news with Jordi Alba's situation too, right, Gemma?
Yeah, let's talk about this crazy last few hours with that left back I was mentioning, that it might be a problem for Xavi because, he hasn't been playing lately. He has been a substitute in the last 2 games for Barcelona. He's not happy with that situation. And the club asked the player to go because even though Xavi said that he didn't need a reinforcement in the left, Barcelona, Mateu Alemany and Joan Laporta decided to sign Marcos Alonso. They already agreed with his agent. So that means problem in the fullback, in the left fullback, because they already have Balde, which is giving a he's playing really well, and Jordi Alba, but they decided to sign Marcos Alonso. And in the last few hours, they pushed Jordi Alba to go for a loan with Inter. They present an offer and they ask him, you're not going to play, there is a World Cup, you need minutes, go to Inter, because they didn't want to pay the high salary the player has, or they wanted to save some money with that operation. The player, which is a captain, it was never in his mind to leave Barcelona. He decided to stay. And what my sources tell me is that he's very upset with that situation, and that some people in the surrounding of Barcelona, they think that this situation might be a problem for the mood in the locker room. It might be a problem because Jordi Alba is a strong character. He's a veteran. He's been playing a lot. He's a captain of Barcelona. So we will see how this situation evolves and how Xavi, who is a former colleague of Jordi Alba and a friend, how he can deal with that situation. And let me just finish by saying that the transfer market of Barcelona, they managed to balance the book with the sale of Aubameyang and as well with the loan of Serginho Dest to Milan, and Braithwaite, who will play in bitter city rivals Espanyol. We will be talking about Espanyol a little bit later.
Yeah, and it's crazy how they were able to do it. There were so many questions and speculations surrounding the situation, but of course, as I mentioned in our last segment, Javier Tebas was like, guys, relax, it's all good. Whatever you're reading that they haven't been able to, it's fake news. And of course, we never expect fake news from you, Gemma, so you're always making it clear here for our La Liga insiders. Rodri, also a situation, speaking of maybe an uncomfortable situation with what's going on with Juan Mata.
Yeah, when we talk about Betis' financial situation, we're talking about a club that has struggled a lot for this past month because they couldn't be able to register till this final deadline day. People like, for example, we're talking about Claudio Bravo, we're talking about Andrés Guardado, even William José, Loren, they weren't even registered for these first games of La Liga. And that's something that was completely linked to one guy who was about to sign for Betis, and we're talking about Juan Mata, former Man United player and former Man United captain, agreed personal terms with Betis, but depending on Betis' financial situation. And the thing is that Betis said, okay, we're going to get rid of Mar Bartra, and they did, and they were about to sell some key players in order to sign, first of all, Juan Mata and even Hector Bellerin, whose priority for this summer transfer window was going back to Betis where he played last season. The thing is that Bellerin has signed for 1 season with Barca. And finally, Juan Mata wasn't able to come to Sevilla due to those financial problems that Betis has struggled with in the past weeks. So Betis prefer register the guys they were playing last season instead of trying to risk Juan Mata and risk those players not to be registered by the end of the summer transfer window. So Mata, the thing is that Mata, and keep this clear in mind, is now free agent, so he can sign for any team at any time.
That's a good news for him. Not all is lost, because we're not talking about any random player that's floating around there. It's someone like Juan Mata too, and of course he deserves, like any other player, to be solid in a team and to really still have that experience, quality experience, and bring that experience, of course, to any team, of course. And that's tough that it comes down to that financial situation that's out of everybody's control, quite literally. And now, Gemma, back to you a little bit with the situation that's going on too with Raúl de Tomás. What's happening?
Yeah, let's put a little bit of focus. You know, the last transfer markets have ended with a lot of drama, a lot of media expectations. So that's why La Liga decided on this day there was a huge, like it was an election night or the Oscars. There was a media room so with all the screens and all the registerings and everything, like making it very exciting, even though at the end there were not so many bombs. The drama, the late drama, had a name, and this is RDT, Raúl de Tomás, because we've been talking so much about this former Real Madrid striker. He was not very happy at Espanyol. There's not that much feeling with new coach Diego Martínez, and there's been a lot of speculation about his departure. Actually, he even decided not to go to trainings to force his exit. He was talking to Fulham, to some clubs in the Premier League, also in Spain, but the clock was clicking, the time was happening, and there was no signing, no officiality. So it was a late drama of this day. There were the last team they were dealing Espanyol with was Rayo Vallecano. They were talking. If you ask Rayo, they say, yeah, we're working on the paper. I think we will be fine. Espanyol were, we're talking. Actually, President Mr. Cheng was in Cornellà al Prat to try to do this deal, because it's kind of a complicated situation. Raúl de Tomás has a big salary. They were willing to get rid of Raúl de Tomás because they have another striker, Martin Braithwaite, and they wanted another players like Luis Rioja from Alaves, but they needed the departure of Raúl de Tomás to be able to fill to accomplish with the salary cap. Well, late drama. Raúl de Tomás was in a hotel waiting for if he had to take a plane to Madrid. Nothing happened. Some sources at Rayo say that it might be Espanyol who didn't do the paperwork on time. Some of them said that Raúl de Tomás at the very end, he decided to ask for a bigger salary. We will see what happens in the next few hours, and especially how does Diego Martínez deal in the delicate situation, because they are in a complicated situation in the table, and now he has to deal with that, with one of the players who earns more money, and that he's not happy with the situation, and he will be staying in the club. Sources at Rayo say that they will try to sign him again on the winter market, but Chris, it looks like a lot of time until the winter market, but I think tomorrow we will start talking about that winter market.
Yeah, I mean, before we get to that winter market, we still have to watch and experience a whole World Cup, so it really does seem very far away for that situation to kind of unravel. And it's tough for these players to accept those salary cuts, and it's really tough to judge, right? Because they're so used to something and they're accustomed to that, and they've adapted their lifestyle to that. So it's really tough to say, come on, man, just cut your salary in half, because I mean, no, who would be happy with that situation? But anyway, that's another conversation. Rodri, now Valencia also had an interesting move around there. Tell us about that.
I don't know if this is an interesting move or a funny move, and I'm going to explain myself because this deadline day for Valencia has been quite funny in terms that this morning they were about to close Bryan Gil from Tottenham Hotspur, the guy who was born in Sevilla and traveled to the UK to try to succeed, and finally he couldn't. So that's why Bryan Gil was like, okay, now I'm here in London, I need to exit to play a little bit more than I'm going to play here in Tottenham. So that's why Valencia called in and said, okay, we're going to agree personal terms with you and we're going to bring you back to La Liga. Finally, something happened in between Valencia and Tottenham that they didn't agree. So around midday, Valencia said, okay, Tottenham Hotspur is not get us on loan Bryan Gil, so we need a plan B. So they activated that plan B, and it was kind of a fast movement from Valencia, from Valencia, because they signed in less than 2 hours the guy who was the son of a legend in La Liga, Justin Kluivert. He was playing in Ligue 1 in France, and he didn't think it twice. So he said, "This is a great chance for me to go and play for Valencia, where my dad, Kluivert, used to play in the 90s or in the beginning of the 2000s." So that's why Justin Kluivert didn't think it, and now he's Valencia player. So now he's ready to succeed at Valencia as he did last year in France. I think it's going to be an interesting move for Valencia, because no one expected Valencia to get that guy who was in Rome. He didn't succeed in Italy, and now he has another chance to take thumbs up in Valencia, because they are waiting for Cavani, and now they're waiting for Kluivert to succeed at Valencia, which is a different and a really tough.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Valencia a few years back playing, winning that Copa del Rey. So why not think that they're trying, obviously, always to get back to at least that kind of stage after they've had a couple of tough seasons. And what a great story you were telling us too with Kluivert. So it'll be interesting for sure. And I agree, it's a funny story to kind of see history maybe repeating itself. But yeah, it's cool to kind of talk to his dad about that situation, or really just remember that. All of that situation. All right, let's get back to the present and what we can expect a little bit in the near future with the clashes this weekend, starting with Sevilla against Barcelona. Here's the table at the moment, at least the first 10 with Real Madrid, and we're going to talk about that match with Real Betis, Barcelona close by with those 7 points, and Villarreal Athletic Club. All right, so Barcelona has this situation against Sevilla, who of course we don't see in that top 10. What does Xavi's team need to do, Gemma, to let the fans know that 4-0 wasn't just a one-off situation, and that this could possibly be the norm, and by norm I mean winning?
Well, they need to prove that Xavi's engine is working well. They started like a little slow against Rayo Vallecano, and then they have managed to score 8 goals in 2 games with Robert Lewandowski proving that he didn't need time to adapt to a new Liga and a new team. And of course, it's going to be a complicated game traveling to Sevilla. It's usually Barcelona-Sevilla, Sevilla-Barcelona as a synonym of a game with a lot of goals. And Sevilla is really in a complicated situation, so it can be a complicated game for Barcelona, because Lopetegui's squad, they need to get a result. I think both teams are in a very completely different momentum. Barcelona, they are happy, they want to keep on the good strike. Koundé, of course, will be there against their former champions. They have a complete squad. They've done, as we just talked, probably the best transfer market in Barcelona's history. So they have a lot of pieces, and Xavi has what he asked for, except Bernardo Silva. It's true that he preferred Bernardo Silva in the midfield, and he couldn't have that. He has Frenkie de Jong as an alternative, and he has a lot of possibilities to play. We will see if he keeps it with the 3 in in the back. Now he has the two fullbacks he was asking for, especially the right one, with the signing of Hector Bellerin. So I think it will be an exciting game. There was last season it was kind of a strange for Barcelona. It was a draw with Papu Gomez and Ronald Araujo scoring, but it's always a synonym of good football and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too, Rodri, to see what Gemma was saying. Maybe we can start seeing those new faces, get those first minutes in. How tough would it be to judge them, at least in this first match against the Sevilla? Like Gemma said too, struggling a bit.
Yeah, Sevilla, I think in these first three games, I think they did the worst beginning on La Liga history for Sevilla, which is something amazing when you see the squad that they have and the coach that they have on the bench, like Julen Lopetegui. For me, it's something so strange. Now you understand when you ask and when you make any journalistic calls to the club, you understand that I'm not going to say that there's a battle or there's a war in between them, but you understand that Lopetegui is a very Mourinho-style coach in terms that, every day is very difficult to cope with. So if you mix these with the injuries or the players that are not going to be able to play against Barcelona, and with the worst beginning in La Liga in their history, I think the mix of these emotions is going to be something quite sad for Sevilla and quite risky in terms that I'm afraid that imagine that in the first half you get to the halftime and Barcelona is winning. I can imagine how Sevilla's fans are gonna say goodbye to the team in the halftime, and that is something that really scares me in terms that I really like Sevilla and I really like the people that are playing in the club, but if you are attending at this beginning of Sevilla, everything leads to you. They're facing Barcelona, and in a couple of days they are going to face Man City on the Champions League, and then they are going to travel to Cornellà against Espanyol. To be honest, I think Julen Lopetegui's future is going to be quite dark in terms of Sevilla. So that's why I think it's going to be a really tough game for Sevilla. And they need to win, but I'm afraid that Barcelona, they have a little advantage.
Yeah, confidence-wise, Barcelona has it. Sevilla, so many doubts. And of course, we know some of those situations out of Julen Lopetegui's control. What happened even a few weeks ago. We were able to talk about it here with Tecatito Corona. So we'll have to see if they can actually recover any sort of ground against Barcelona. But like you said, Rodri, it'll be tough. Now, let's check this out. The soccer predictions say that Barcelona agree with what Rodrigo and, of course, Gemma were saying. 51% favorites to take this match, 23% only for Sevilla. And that tie to 25%. So it could be interesting. Sevilla at least have that 50-50 chance to at least leave with 1 point. But, of course, it's tough. Now, let's go on to maybe one of the most attractive games this weekend. Real Madrid receiving Real Betis. We know that Betis has been there. They have 9 points. They're facing Madrid, who also has the 9 points. Gemma, what do you expect, at least, from the Betis side to have that little upset at the Bernabeu?
I expect a lot, and especially because I'm going to be in that game. I will be covering that game. It will be my first time at the Bernabeu this season, so I'm very excited. And of course, it's a big battle in the top of the standings of La Liga. So I expect that two teams enjoying a good momentum, and I think that's pretty exciting for Real Betis because as we have been talking too much here in the Insiders, they are facing financial problems as well, but Pellegrini has managed to keep the team aside from that. It's true that they have had to lose some important pieces because of that, but I think they have a pretty competitive squad, and the truth is that they have been able to get good results at the Bernabeu lately. Actually, it's 5 years without conceding a goal at the Bernabeu. Really few teams teams can say that. 2 victories and 3 draws in the last 5 years. So I think it's going to be a really competitive game. I think Real Madrid are, of course, a little bit favorites because they play in front of a home crowd, and they are more a team. They are the defending champions. They have the block with good reinforcement. But let's see what Betis, if they manage, they can get that good streak at the Santiago
It's a team
Bernabeu.
that always has that fire, and I'm sure they're going to try to bring that too at the Santiago Bernabeu for you to at least have a good match to watch too, Gemma, and cover. Of course, this is what you were just telling us about, those 3 ties, those 2 wins in their last 5 matches at the Bernabeu. Can they still have this streak of at least not losing, Rodri?
I would say, or I would advise Real Madrid players to fear Borja Iglesias, because I think he's the guy who can break the Courtois wall. But if you see what Borja Iglesias or Joaquin or Juanmi are gonna face, I don't know who will fear the most. I agree with Gemma that Real Madrid has the same block that made them win the league last season. I think they improved a little bit more with Rodrigo back in defense and with Tchouaméni, that now is the main guy at this defensive midfield. So that's why, for me, I think Real Madrid has to face this important game in these 4 first games as the most important one, in terms that this is going to be the first game that they're going to face a big one, because Betis by the end of the season are going to be in between the 4th, 5th main classifieds on the table. So that's why for Real Madrid it's going to be a great test to say, okay, we can try this, and we're going to be like last year the main favorite to win the league. I think that Tchouaméni has a great test too, individually, in talking about who's going to face against Betis. I think Camavinga is going to be interesting if he can be at the same level, and if he can be in the starting 11, which for me is something important for the French guy. And let's see if finally maybe Fede Valverde could be with both of them at the midfield, or Ancelotti try to bet to Modric, which is more experienced, and he has indeed more quality than the rest of the teammates in the midfield. I think it's a very interesting game, and I think that Real Madrid should win, because they're gonna play home, their first home game this season. But Betis is always dangerous, and when you have Borja Iglesias and Juanmi, I think they are in shape in this La Liga beginning. Maybe you have to fear a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Borja Iglesias' goal lately, please do it and have a great time with it, because wow, he's such a talented player, and of course, like you said, Rodri, always fear Borja Iglesias and Real Betis too, but it'll be interesting to see. Of course, the mentality, always that winning mentality with Real Madrid, and of course, when we're talking about at home. All right, guys, let's take it to extra time to have a little bit of fun. Of course, with Martin Braithwaite, we're gonna listen to this little video and talk about it. All right, Rodri, what do you think?
I don't know if it's a good idea for Espanyol to, I don't know, get your mascot becoming your striker, or the other way around. I don't know. I have doubts. I'm really proud of this kind of new social media announcement, but I don't know if this is the right idea for
What do you think?
I think it's risky, but I think it's fun. And of course, if things go wrong with Braithwaite, there will be memes, but it will be anyway. So I think it's fun. I think the message is trying to say that the parakeet, the periquito, the mascot of Espanyol, is flying around La Diagonal. This is the main avenue in Barcelona, and it used to divide the Barcelona Stadium and the former Espanyol Stadium, Sarriá. Now it changed a little bit when they moved to Cornellà, but it looks looks like the parakeet is flying from one side of the diagonal to the other. And Barcelona have bitter experiences of former strikers scoring against them, like Ivan de la Peña. So they might have fun, Rodri, Barcelona supporters, or they might suffer if things go well. Because, I mean, Braithwaite, it's true that he hasn't managed to succeed at Barcelona, but when he was coming out of the bench, there always things were happening. Most of the time were no good, but things were happening. So we'll see what happens when he plays against Barcelona.
It's like, I may not do much, but things were happening. And maybe he can make it happen for Espanyol. Maybe, I want to see a change of air, because the air maybe doesn't, I don't know, maybe it does feel different. Gemma would know better, of course, if it really does feel a little bit different. But yeah, there's a shift. It's different fans, it's different expectations, and maybe Braithwaite will do a great job, but we'll see. Well, I thought it was fun. I don't know if I would accept to put on the mascot hat because it gets really hot really fast, but they probably told him, give me 5 seconds and you can take it off and then we'll just record you. And I mean, it looks like you can have a good time too with this. All right, guys, that's it for this edition of LaLiga Insiders. I want to let everybody know that Gemma and Rodri stayed up till like 1 in the morning to be able to bring you guys the latest on this transfer deadline day. So I really appreciate it, guys. And of course, I always remind everybody, please follow them on Twitter. And of course, you guys can watch them sideline and covering these games, as Gemma already said, Real Betis against Real Madrid, and much more. And we'll talk about it right here on LaLiga Insiders. See you next time.